I just read your post there.
Welcome to Salty Saturday, everybody. Thanks for joining us on this awesome Saturday night. We got two big matches for you. I am Donde, and I'm excited to be here alongside RonMexico. First time we've gotten to cast together. Ron, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing great. I'm excited to be here. We got some great matches on the slate here, and I'm happy to be around to watch some exciting Hearthstone action. Let's get it. After it.
Definitely. Yeah, as you mentioned, two great matches tonight, both from teams with playoff aspirations in both Hero Series and Legacy. So the first match of the evening is going to be Shunsui, who is just making the worldwide, the world tour of THL appearances on stream. He played on Saturday last week. He was on Saloon this week, and now he's back again playing ItsMeMikeV of Tanpam Surf Slam. So this should be a good one here. And then later on, we've got Anfal of the Hot ZILFS playing against Debs of Mrgl. This is a 1-2 matchup here in Legacy. Mrgl's in control right now, and Anfal needs a sweep to guarantee a tie. So a lot riding on this one as well, playoff seeding. So let's talk about the first match, though, Ron. What are you thinking here? I know the bands, so I'm going to ask you first of all, what you think the bands are going to be, and what you expect to see in this matchup.
Okay. Well, first off, I just got to say I like the strategy Shensui's got going on, where he tries to get all of his matches on stream because he's been undefeated so
Oh,
far.
without a
So
doubt.
he's figured out that something's working if he plays on stream. So watch out if he asks you to play on stream and you're trying to beat him. But I think from his side, a warrior ban seems extremely reasonable, since he brought Demon Hunter, and warrior is not only the counter to that, but it's one of the strongest decks in the classes in the game. And on Mike V's side, I really wouldn't be surprised to see a warrior ban, I don't know what else he would really go for there. Possibly Druid, but I kind of just get the feeling it's going to be double Warrior.
Well, you are spot on, and I know that you don't know that. You can't see my screen, and it's going to be 10 minutes till you can see it on stream. So this is a completely clean guess that you are entirely correct. It is double warrior ban, so no warrior, at least not in this first series. Two more chances to see if we might have it to see it in the next one. But yeah, I like it. This is not a true mirror. Mike V obviously not sure where the Demon Hunter is going to land this week with the nerfs. So I think we've all realized by now that it is more than playable, and would probably like to. We're going to probably see an uptick in that. I would imagine next week back to where it was before. But he brought Druid Hunter and Rogue instead of the Demon Hunter. So Demon Hunter and Hunter are the two differences here in these two lineups.
Yeah, and I mean, it looks like it'll probably be a pretty close series throughout with the way these classes are lining up. Druid counters Rogue. Rogue can play into Demon Hunter well. Demon Hunter can play into Hunter well. There's a whole lot of things that look like it could easily set up for just back and forth, counter 5-game series. So, I mean, that's what we're hoping for, right? Game 5,
Oh, of
sweetest
course.
words in Hearthstone.
Yeah, I think we'll probably end up seeing a very good series. Both of these players are very capable, and I think as you mentioned, it's going to be a very much almost a battle of counter cues. With Hero, you got to stick with the deck. That's last hero standing for anybody out there who's not familiar with our hero series. Last hero standing, you got to stick with the deck if you win. So that means that you can go ahead and counter cue your opponent if you were defeated in the previous match. So I think we're going to see that. I think we'll see somebody seize the lead first, and then we'll just see counter cues back and forth all the way to game 5. I think that's a pretty accurate expectation here.
Yeah, and if anyone happens to get a win in an unfavorable, that is so massive, especially in a series like Last Hero Standing, where, you can get through the one counter deck for the thing that you have, and then your opponent is just dead to rights. So that's where we see a lot of sweeps happen. It's why Hero is often known for more sweeps than other series. But it kind of hinges on winning those unfavorables. So that's oftentimes a tipping point, and it'll be exciting to see how these play out.
Definitely. Well, why don't we let these players go? They are ready to go. Since we've got the bans, we know they're good. So we are going to, let's give them the notice. And while we are waiting for this to start up, which should just be a minute or so, I do want to thank again everybody for joining us this evening. If you have a chance to follow and subscribe, we would be very grateful for that. You can click the button up in the top right on your Twitch client there. If you have Twitch Prime, it is free, of course, to subscribe. It helps us continue to produce better and better content. It helps us with prize pools for off-season tournaments, and just in general helps us love you all that much more. We love you either way. I'm just kidding, but if you do have the means and the opportunity to do so, it's much appreciated here. But either way, we're gonna bring some good matches to you tonight, guaranteed. Shunsui will be on the bottom. Looks like they're still in the preparing to battle a friend phase. So they're deciding on their first cues.
Yeah, looks like it should be all ready to go now.
Yep, mine is loading, so you should see it on stream here shortly.
Versus
There we go. So we're looking at a Demon Hunter from Shunsui and the Rogue for Mike V. He's got that golden flick swag up there, up in the top of your screen.
Ooh, fancy.
That is fancy. Gotta love that.
I appreciate the golden cards.
Oh, well, who doesn't?
And yeah, this should be interesting. Rogue can really do extremely well against Demon Hunter. And Mike V is going with what looks to be most likely the stealth list. Yep, with the Sage. I'd say it's very likely it's a stealth.
Yeah, I think very good pickup there from Mike. He had no real great turn one play, but then picks up the Pharaoh Cat to drop. And Shun had two options. He could have gone Battlefield on one if he really wanted to, but he's going to go ahead and trot out that Battle Mage instead.
Interesting that Mike V is holding back the backstab. Maybe he wants to charge up a bigger questing.
Yeah, I think that's probably the case, especially, well, I would say with the coin, but that's more of an Edwin thing, of course, because you have to play the coin to get the questing out, which doesn't really benefit it. But now, he's got the option to go ahead and drop that evil miscreant instead, if you would rather.
Well, true, that's a big pickup. I was thinking maybe he was planning the Abyss play and then a questing coin something backstab.
I could definitely see that too. It looks like he's going to prioritize just getting the Battle Fiend off the field, though.
And coin miscreant, all right. I can see that line. That's a good course of action there.
Yeah, he's got that out there to combat the 2-1 now. Yeah, the Frozen Shadow Weaver is really the only option here. I guess the choice is, do you get the minion or the face, and he's going to go ahead and freeze the evil miscreant instead.
Shinsui wisely playing the thing that was highlighted in green. I support it.
I do tend to like that the Frozen Shadow Weaver keep, because it seems like such a swingy card in a lot of matchups, especially the mirror matchup for Demon Hunters. But if you have a 1-drop to play alongside of it, I think that's a great keep, and it didn't really work out here as it died immediately. But other than that, it's still a strong card.
Yeah, and now Shinsui with a very awkward turn. And even though Altruist is highlighted green, he's a bit more important than some of the other things.
You don't just like to drop him out there as a tempo 4-2?
You don't just jam the tempo 4-2 if you're playing Demon Hunter with that guy.
I obviously agree with that. So I agree with the play. Shinsui, it feels bad. It's a pass essentially. You're just kind of hero powering and passing your turn, but it is what it is. He had to do what he had to do, and he's going to save that Altruist.
Quite a few options here. I was wondering if we'd see the questing adventurer get played, but it looks like he wants to keep holding back on that. He's going for more value here. He can still dagger and kill that battle mage, which is stuck since turn 1. Now he's got the option of a shiv, a deadly poison. The secret probably wouldn't help much. And he takes the secret. Okay, I'm surprised by that pick.
Yeah, I guess the secret is a little surprising. Yeah, he wanted something to fit immediately. And I kind of like the holding back the questing, knowing.
Shinsui is going to test with hitting that first. Still could be a 4-4. Let's see what it transforms into.
Oh, wow. Okay, so it's going to eat an extra charge of that weapon.
Not terrible for either player, honestly.
I think the big thing to me was Mike was probably
another charge.
Mike was probably looking at that questing and saying, all right, if I play this turn, it's getting up to maybe like a 4-4 at most. And Shinsui had an awkward enough hand that he didn't play anything on turn 4. So you're looking at going into turn 5 as probably a Warglave's turn, in which case that questing, which he would rather get out of control too fast before Shinsui can just clear it off with a charge or 2 of the weapon. I would imagine that's probably why he held it back that turn.
That makes sense. And on Shinsui's side, still a bit awkward. He has some options. He could play Kane and protect it with the Brawler and still use Kane and a weapon charge to kill the taunt, which doesn't feel great since Kane avoids taunts. It might be a glaive bound. It looks like a glaive bound with the hero power.
Yeah, I think that's what it's going to be. That Altruist is unfortunately blocking that Skull of Gul'dan, and with the amount of cards, with how deep it is in the hand, I doubt it's ever going to get to the right.
I don't think he should tank 8. He's taken a lot of damage here. It's probably, I know it feels bad, but yeah, I think you need to send the forward to the minion, and he does.
Yeah, like you said, doesn't feel good. Definitely doesn't feel good.
And Altruist blocking Skull is definitely a headache for the Demon Hunter. And on Mike V's side, an embarrassment of riches with all of these cards in hand. Too many options to even run through in a reasonable sense for casting.
And right now, very strong position here for Mike V. He's got a lot of options at his disposal. Shinsui picks up I-Beam, which is not bad, but unless he wants to use it this turn, it's going to become significantly more expensive. Is there a point here where, as Shinsui, you're looking at your hand just being so slow that you might have to just play the Altruist out and get maybe like 1 or 2 cards worth of value out of it. He doesn't seem to agree.
Definitely a reasonable consideration, but with so many cards in Mike's hand, I think it was correct to just dump the things to the right of the skull and hope that he draws something cheap so that he can get the skull out with its value and go off with an Altruist turn afterwards.
Yeah, it's definitely
Mike
a hopeful
choosing
situation.
to just grab a Galakron, get a 6/6, get a Galakron, and a Rush Kronks, much better than a regular Kronks.
He has Shadow Step if he'd like to pull it back, and I think that's obviously with no other mana, that's what he's considering right now. And knowing what we know, you know, how strong of position he's in, seeing only 2 cards in Shensui's hand, I like pulling it back right now. I mean, what's the most that could really happen to you on the next turn or two?
Shensui with the threat.
Yeah. I would also of note for those not tracking their own Galakron invokes at home. That's Mike's at 3, so he is not quite at weapon level for the Galakron, but he's close. So all he would need to do is pick up 1 more invoke in order to do that.
1 invoke off, yeah, and he chooses not to remove the 7/4 from the board right here.
And Shunsui can.
Reasonable.
He picked up. Well, I would say he picked up a card that was playable with Skull, but that card draws a card, which now makes Skull unplayable again.
I think his play might actually have to be Altruist Battle Fiend and trade the Kronks. I mean, trade the Kane into the Kronks.
It can be very tough to know. You know, obviously everyone wants to go off with Altruist, wants to have a humongous turn, but sometimes you just got to drop him and get what you can out of it. And like right there, for instance, it would have been better if he had dropped Altruist ahead of.
He could tank the 7 too. Yeah. Obviously, if he had known. Well, I mean, it was a guarantee that whatever he drew wasn't going to cost 0. Because
there's no 0 cost cards anymore.
Yeah, so a slight misplay technically, but only by 1 damage, which looks irrelevant here. Yeah, does not want to take 7 damage and leave up his Kane. And we may just see Galakron come down. There's an option for a Sage drawing cards with the Spy Mistress pickup. He's been holding Questing in his hand since, what, 6-7 turns ago? At some point, he's going to go off with that.
That might not be the win condition anymore. I mean, he's picked up the Evil Miscreant, and there is our Golden Flick making his way back.
And yeah, he's going with just more generation. See, 2 Witchy Lackeys. Donde. Oh wait, no, that's not 2. That's I thought they were both Witchies. I thought you were gonna get some PTSD there, but turns out it's Witchy and a Shoot Lackey. And Shoot Lackey paired with Shadow Step is extremely powerful in this situation.
Yeah, this is just an overwhelming board position. It's hard to see a way that Mike does not win from here. But Skull Gul'dan is that one way that could possibly, you know, pull a win out of nowhere. Hey, Twin Slice is free again.
Hey, we unnerfed it and buffed it. Good draw.
Yeah, Vulpera also going to be looking for, you know, potential out here. None of these
and out
look
probably
great.
Is Spectral Sight, because he just needs to find Burst right now, or he is almost certainly going to lose. He knows his opponent is holding Galakron. I don't think there's really a way out for Demon Hunter at this point, but I think it does probably start with Sight.
I would say either Sight or you Mystery and hope you get like a Chaos Nova to clear the board, but even then.
Those are not what he was looking for either.
Hey, I got you.
He's going to use the Twin Slice to get the Satyr to charge up. Gets that extra 2 damage face. And at any point, if Mike V senses the threat, you know, he can just gain 5 armor and draw some cards.
Definitely. He could also just go ahead and flick that Satyr Overseer away right now, clear off most of this board using his minions, and continue to push the damage, knowing that he probably doesn't die from 15, knowing that Kane is gone, so the charge is gone.
Like that's what he's going to do, and there it comes.
I can even see a Witchy Lackey go onto that flick, give him a 7 drop of his choice.
Maybe he rushes the
Rush
fight
it first, yeah,
gets
why
a
not?
value trade, and then witchies it. Yeah, that's an excellent play. I mean, at this point, the only way he loses is through board. So, oh, he's considering the Skyvateer. I feel like he likely just... Oh, he's going to push damage. Okay, I thought maybe he'd be trading off the minions to deny any possible burst, but I don't think there really is much of anything that exists that Shunsui can find.
Yeah, it's rather unlikely at this point. Okay, so he's oh, good hit there for the Witchy Lackey on the Evil Miscreant. A 4/4 is pretty strong. Metamorphosis.
Metamorphosis was one of the cards that Shunsui was looking for. He wanted to discount it off of Skull, and I don't think he has enough time for that to win him the game.
No. Quick math count. Metamorphosis is 5 damage. Hero Power is 6. Second Slice is 8. Umberwing is 9 with the minion on board is 10. So technically he has a 2-turn lethal here, but he would be dead by that time.
Unfortunately, 17 damage on board for Shunsui.
Yes.
He needs to clear a minion or he will die.
I mean, I could see the meta into the 5/2 here, clear the 3/1 with your 1/2, and I see him targeting the 5/2 with
tank 5 damage.
Oh, Og Merchant. All right.
Oh, okay.
Then use the on the 4/4
damage, maybe.
I almost feel like tanking damage at this point is kind of a useless proposition, though, since that damage is coming to you next turn anyway, and you're only going to live at most 2 more turns. So, to me, it seems like you ship everything as much as you can. But we know Galakron he knows Galakron's in hand too. He saw the Krunks, so that is like you said, it's effectively a Metamorphosis canceller.
And be 2 away from lethal on the board, 1 away, right, with the daggers. So the praise pickup is lethal.
That does seem correct, yeah.
Yep, so that's going to do it for game 1
lethal.
here. Yeah, extra overkill too with the Galakron for even more damage pushing through. He could have just pressed the button for exact lethal with the dagger, but very flashy.
I mean, you know what's better than lethal damage is more lethal damage, right? That's just science.
Do we see him charge up a huge Edmund before he lethals?
He never did play the questing.
Yeah, no, totally unnecessary card, just hanging out. Still goes with an exact lethal, just a different way about it. And that's going to be a 1-0 lead for MikeV.
And as we did mention at the top, this is last year's standings. So that means it is a Demon Hunter loss for Shunsui, not necessarily a Rogue win for MikeV. So he'll be playing Rogue again.
Yes, and Shunsui, he brought Druid, correct? So we will likely see the Druid come out as the Rogue counter.
Unless he really wants to get a mirror going, yeah, it'll be the Druid, I would imagine.
But very well played by Mike throughout that game. Just really controlled the board. You know, Shunsui had a few awkward turns. Ultra Stranding Skull was very detrimental to his overall game plan, and MikeV just had all the board presence throughout, so he controlled the game very well and got rewarded.
Yeah, it's really what you have to do. You know the Demon Hunter can just take over the game at any point, usually in that like 3rd to 4th to 5th turn range where they start, throwing down the Satyr and throwing down, Warglaives, like threats that you just know that you either have to get rid of right away or they will swarm and overwhelm you. And he did a great job of handling each threat as it came out. Shunsui admittedly did have a bit of a clunky, slower hand.
True, and here we see it is, of course, the Druid. Shunsui bringing the counter, keeps the ramp, tosses the rest. And,
yeah, I like that hand for Shunsui for the most part.
Looks good, especially holding Mount Cellar with Fungal Fortunes, so even less of a chance to burn it. And even less of a chance to burn anything good with Fungal.
Oh, he wants to Seal Fate. I get it. Okay. I was wondering why he didn't want to attack with a 1/2. Seal Fate. I'm curious why Spy Mistress didn't come down on 1, though, because this is a matchup where, as the Rogue, you just want to be pushing damage and pressuring.
Yeah, I was surprised by that as well. I don't know why he's holding the Spy Mistress back, but obviously it makes sense on the second turn to just pass until he gets the Seal Fate.
I think the thing to me, though, is that, Seal Fate's not as important as the repeated damage as the 3-1 will do, because you're going to hit with it on turn 2. So it's going to get 3 damage in there, same as the Seal Fate. And then, if Shunsui wants to remove it with Hero Power, not only is he taking another 2, he's not using something on 2 like Fungal Fortunes, so it's going to slow his game plan down. So to me, that throws off Shunsui's game plan more than the Seal Fate would do for you. But that was not what Mike opted to do.
Interesting top deck for Shunsui. He had the option of getting Glowflies out now, but he chooses to ramp, which may be correct. What would it have summoned? We have 1, 2, 3, 4 other cards outside of what he would have used that are spells. Yeah, so
Yes.
only 4 Glowflies if he chose to just get there right now, which like the correct play to hold off on it. Mike V getting a questing adventure online right in the way for the Glowfly turn.
Yeah, the Glowfly is the best thing you can do right now. It has to be answered.
Unfortunately for Mike, he doesn't have any real way to exploit the questing on the board. His hand is very expensive.
I will say that the Flick in hand, though, is a really key card for the Rogue to win this matchup, because it's going to go ahead and knock every Glowfly off board. Yes, Shunsui has the second Glowfly in hand, and he has Mount Seller, so there should be enough gas for him to get through here, but yeah, it's a card that you want to see as a Rogue in this matchup.
Absolutely. Flick is the most important card in the matchup like this, outside of maybe questing, getting online early, and just charging up past a point where it can be dealt with. But 7 health is not going to be enough to make enough of a difference here.
No, I would imagine he's just going to go ahead and send it to the face for 5. And knows that Shunsui will have to go ahead and take care of it with his Glowflies. And then if he does Glowfly Swarm again, which we would expect him to do on the next turn, then the Flick will just come down, and that might be enough. Depending on how good the Mount Seller turn is, the Rogue might just have enough juice to get there this game.
Given that Shunsui is holding 3 0-mana payoff cards on turn 7, though, I'd say even if he had elected to play...
Oh, no.
Ooh.
A wild miscalculation.
Accidentally burns a card there.
Yeah, he
and
forgot
then
that the...
one of the payoff cards, too.
Definitely a little bit suspect on the ordering here.
And another one for Mount Seller. I think that could have been a dangerous line for Shunsui to take.
Yeah, that seems like a bit more of a panic line than anything. Like, you don't... I mean, I'm fine with using the Bog Beam there. Like, use one Bog Beam to help clear off the Mount Seller with only 2 of your minions. That's fine. But I think that's probably all you needed to do there. I mean, you can do that and then maybe Rising Winds down to 3-2, just to make sure you have, using up your mana and things like that. But I think you've really got to save your juice for that Mount Seller that you've had in hand the entire time.
This does make Flick not great. I think we still likely see it get played. And holding the other cards here, I mean, it's possible he could backstab maybe Kronks.
Yeah, I think that's actually pretty reasonable. I think backstab Kronks is where I would go with it. Or send everything into the 3-5.
Looks like he's going with that play.
He's going to backstab the 2-2 instead, maybe. Oops, he gets the Seal Fate.
Yeah,
so now with the Seal Fate in hand, he can get at least a second free card off of Galakrond.
Shunsui with the option of 3 random beasts if he chooses from Mount Seller. More likely, we're just going to see the Glowfly and Flick will follow. No, he is going with the Mount Seller.
Yeah, I kind of like using the Glowfly first just because you're about to go ahead and use up those spells.
With that Glowfly trade and a Moonfire, or now Zixor trade and Moonfire.
And then you get Zixor into your deck, which is rarely bad, unless you discard it.
Definitely fits the overall game plan of the deck quite well.
4-1, not a great not a great beast in this particularly because it can be easily cleared, but
And now with Flick in hand, Shunsui could have walked himself into disaster holding his other Mount Seller. Flick's going to come down, kill this Mount Seller, kill the other one in hand. Of course, Shunsui still has a good answer since Mike is mostly out of options. He's going to take out the Griffin. I think that's correct here.
yeah, continuing to keep the board clear is the right play.
Definitely
now
didn't want a 4-1 killing his Flick.
Nope, and now he's got a Lackey to play in addition to the Togwaggle.
And Shunsui most likely innervate Ysera.
I mean, no other threats. Glowfly's almost nothing on this turn.
He's still holding a Rising Winds and an Overgrowth to draw 2 and go off with Dragons.
Well, he can't draw with the Overgrowth for 2 more turns, or not this upcoming turn because it's only going to 9 mana.
He has to wait until turn 10 before he can actually Overgrowth for draw.
This game might very well rely on what happens with these portals. Are they drawn fast enough?
Yeah, with Mike getting to all of the power cards that he needs, this could be a game that Rogue can find enough to survive and push enough to get a win here. What a huge draw for Shunsui.
Yeah, this needs to just
3 cards
start drawing.
And here
Dream
comes
Portal.
Random Dragons.
Not great. I mean, if he can get like the second Iron Bark.
That
great dragon.
A skeletal dragon.
Big dragon.
Generating dragons. Another big dragon. And now it's just time to keep drawing cards.
Another dragon.
As many dragons as possible.
Not bad. Not a bad body there.
And I think he just plays another Rising Winds for draw.
Why not? I mean, I'm fine with that. Clear off a few things and set yourself up for that Savage Roar you just drew. And all of a sudden, the Druid is in pretty good shape, actually. We're gonna see one more draw. It's another dragon.
One more draw, and he gets another dragon.
Oh, and a Chrono Breaker, but he doesn't have a dragon in hand, so it's just a 4/5.
He'll have a dragon
lies!
in
He has a dragon in
because
hand.
of the skeletal dragon generating
Unbelievable.
one, so even stronger. And we can see that despite all of the control that Mike V had, he's now staring lethal in the face, and he basically needs to find, what, a 0-mana Kronks off of Galakron, plus some other things?
He's already played Kronks.
Oh yeah, he drew Kronks.
He's
he
got
drew Galakron with Kronks. Yeah, I don't even think he has outs.
What happened in this? I mean, I guess the answer is Druid happened in this game. This is what Druid does. It just comes out of nowhere. I feel like Mike played this just about as well as he could.
He absolutely did. He did everything right, but when Druid gets a Ysera online and then draws a bunch of really strong random dragons and is holding a Savage Roar, you are basically up the creek without a paddle.
Incredible. I don't even know what to say at this point.
Mike doing as much as he can, looking for taunt lackeys, I'm sure.
That would be
as much as possible.
Spell.
A spell lackey could help.
He's run out of time though.
He ran out of time, he's not going to play it, and that is definitely going to do it. Savage
another
Roar,
dragon.
way
Why
too
not?
much. I think it's just lethal without the Savage Roar. My god. And Druid
Brutal.
does what it does. Rogue is probably the worst class when it comes to dealing with Druid. And, Druid showing why it was a counter queue there. We are tied up 1-1. And now on Mike V's side, he's got the remaining classes of Hunter and Druid. On Shansui's side, he still has a Rogue in his back pocket after this Druid. So Hunter and Druid for Mike. Hunter can often struggle against Druid, and obviously he would have to take his chances with the mirror otherwise. Very likely we'll still see him go with the Hunter. Um, I would expect it's a Highlander Hunter, which has a slightly favorable um, spread by the stats, I believe, but it's pretty close to a coin flip.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting to see here. I mean, if you really just want to kind of go for the high roll possibility, I mean, play your own druid and hope you get the cards that they don't. That might be where we go here. That's not where we go here. We're going to see Hunter out of Mike.
I think it makes sense because he's got the chance of winning with Hunter, and if his Hunter wins and faces a rogue and loses to the rogue, he has the Druid countering rogue last, and he just puts off the mirror match, which if he wins the mirror, he very likely wins the match because, again, we saw how incredibly difficult it is to win with rogue against Druid.
Chunsui again. He picks up wild growth early, so he's got the ramp, or some ramp at the very least. Mike has some early cards to play. I could see he can coin to the fairy dragon if he really wants to. He's not going to.
I think he may have if he had a good follow-up on 2, but the follow-up really would have been Zephyrus.
It would have been, yeah.
He most likely wants to save it for a board clear. Looks like he's running secrets in this list too, so an interesting choice.
Yeah, I've found that I don't enjoy the secrets that much. No, please, opponents, do not scout this this broadcast. But it seems like, especially in this matchup, like a single freezing trap is not going to have too much of an impact.
If he has an explosive trap, it could be useful.
That could be very useful. But that ooze is going to be of no consequence in this matchup either. It's just a 3/2 body.
And I think we see a crystal power to kill the Huffer. Mike, though, definitely pushing damage at the right time. He knows what to do here. Good for him that his Huffer button was working properly.
Yeah, I think at this point, it's Mike just needs to continue to keep threatening, make sure that Shunsui can't do what he wants to do cleanly. And Shunsui's got that overflow, so he's going to be kind of in hand management mode for the next turn or two to try and make sure he doesn't overflow.
The Dragonbane. He's mousing over it. It looks like he's strongly considering just jamming the Dragonbane here.
Well, I think the consideration goes, what punishes you if you do that in this case? What does a Druid do on 6 that would punish that? Double Bog Beam? You know, if he wants to make that his entire turn, then you consider that a win, right? He's already seen one crystal power.
Passing on that option, going with, just a little bit more board presence, probably preparing for a Glowfly Swarm. Maybe thinking that that's what Shunsui might be dropping here. As we can see, he's not holding it, and all his options are very awkward.
And Shunsui doesn't know this list, so that's a secret that could be, of course, anything to him, which Explosive Trap is very bad for Glowfly Swarm, as you alluded to earlier. So the kind of, I guess, almost a bluff in a way.
Yeah, it definitely can function as a bluff, which is a nice little extra element in Hunter's game plan against Druid. As we can see, though, Shunsui just with no real options that are any good. Probably, yeah, considering playing a 3/2 with the Power of the Wild.
It's tough to want to do that, but it's not a terrible idea. Yeah, just to get something on board.
Not even punching face to test for the explosive.
Oh, here comes the coin.
Like with Dragonbane coin hero power, that's going to push a lot of damage.
Yeah, all of a sudden overflow is gonna be the play, I would imagine. But now you're gonna look at you're not gonna Iron Bark before you play it. So either your turn becomes Exotic Mount Cell or Iron Bark pass, or, but I guess that's what we're doing.
Yeah, I think if he just played the Overflow, knowing that he's not going to get any minions on board, that's healing 5, and it's leaving 9 plus 7, 16 on board. So he would have been just
Zeph is going to silence this and end the game.
Unless he drew something to help. And yeah, that should do it.
Sap works too, Shadow Word Death works. All 3 options. Pick your poison. You're going to win either way.
Any number of them win you the game. Just take your pick. And then pushes 9, presses the button, and that's going to do it.
Just making sure he's got the count right. Whoa, whoa, whoa! Oh, okay, no, I was gonna say he's gonna style on him.
Lethal,
He's gonna style on him a little bit. Okay, I always whenever this happens when I'm casting, I see a lethal, and if somebody spots a different lethal, regardless of whether it's logical or not, I get a little scared if it's a different lethal than the one I pictured.
Yep. But yeah, either way it worked out, and he picks up the 2-1 lead there, getting the druid out of the way, which I expect would have created the most headaches for him. Now Shunsui has to win 2 straight games with his rogue, and we know that Mike V has a druid waiting in the wings. Very tall order for Shunsui to come back and take this series at this point.
And here we go with that rogue v hunter.
Before the might of the elves. None can escape my
So Shunsui running the SI7 doesn't tend to be in every rogue deck at this point.
Yeah, definitely an interesting inclusion. Maybe he was featuring it to try to improve slightly against a Glowfly Swarm with the Backstab SI as an option to try to clear it. But I'm not sure. On Mike V's side, I don't know if I really like either of these players' mulligans all that much here. The Backstab is good for the Rogue, obviously, and some Invoke cards are always arguable to keep. On Mike V's side, I think he wants some earlier tempo there. All right, we get the rare double turn 1 pass, I believe.
Ambush in the deck too. Does that mean that we might be seeing a Shadow Jeweler? Oh.
Oh, not a pass. Shunsui wants to get the ambush out early. Okay.
Interesting. Okay.
Well, it does get to answer a Phase Stalker if Mike V had chosen to play it there, or the Sharpshooter, electing to draw and grabs a Zixer. That's a pretty strong one to see on turn 3.
Yeah, it's either
and
that
Shansui's
or the
point play
Griffin.
leaves him with just the dagger.
No Seal Fate, no problem. We're gonna attack with that dagger.
At this point, I expect he probably would want to Seal Fate a minion anyway.
That is a reasonable assessment. Dirty Tricks. This is full-on secret package.
And I expect it's most likely just Tempo SI. Possibly a Dirty Tricks. And he's going to go with the Dirty Tricks here. Just getting a lot of secrets lined up early.
I have to say, this is, as far as the style in which this game is playing out, this is much slower than the standard Rogue, Highlander, Hunter kind of curve that you want to have in the opening turns here. It's very, very slow.
Yeah, a bit unexpected. And Mike V getting the Freezing Trap again. So far, that's the only secret we've seen that he runs in this deck. I'm sure with Phase Stalker, he runs more than one, but so far, all we know is Freezing Trap. That's what he pulls, which does not bode well for the Poison guy here. Shunsui with a decent amount of options, holding Backstab, SI, Praise, and 2 Eviscerates. Numerous ways to clear the board if he chooses to.
And Shunsui is going to invest in that Ambusher, and there he goes, back to hand.
And this is Backstab SI to clear the Phase Stalker. So out comes the SI, takes the board back, and Mike V with the option to just clear this right away. Still doesn't know if it's Bamboozle or not.
And he finds the answer.
That's a Dirty Tricks. Remaining 2 mana, does he play the Sharpshooter or send more damage? And, yep, press the button. Do what Hunter does best. Go face.
Act as your scale.
Shinsuyu with a solid on-curve play to get a taunt in the way. Charge up Galakron slightly. He's got 2 turns to wait before he can draw 2 0-mana cards and possibly flip things around. On Mike V's side, Zix are quite strong. And he's going to use the sharpshooter to ping this down as well. This way, more damage goes face.
Yeah, Mike V is one brand top deck away from pretty much having full control of this game.
Absolutely. This is looking so dire that Shunsui may just need to double Abyss and clear off the strongest power from the board.
Ooh, a couple big options here. Question, I guess, is does he ever get to the point where Alexstrasza, OG Alexstrasza, is useful? Dragon Queen might not ever be active.
I mean, out of these options, he probably has to take the OG Alex, and he does, yeah. Because, I mean, the other 2 really weren't going to help, and at least that one has a chance of flipping things around if he takes a lot of damage.
Correct. I think that's absolutely the pick in that situation.
And yeah, we're going to see double Eviscerate.
Yep, double Eviscerate, Faceless Lackey. Perfectly fine here. Feels
Takes
bad to
some
get
damage
rid
off
of
the
8
board,
damage
right
worth of
into-
burst.
Yeah, right into the Galakron turn, though, so provided Mike V doesn't have a great top deck, Shunsui may be maneuvering into a position to turn things around. That is an excellent top deck, though.
Grizzled Wizard, by the way, making an appearance in a competitive Hearthstone match here in 2020. As if the year doesn't get crazy enough.
And what a top deck for Mike V. That gets to push an additional 5 damage and clear the board with this ping from the sharpshooter. Just
Yeah, that Dragon
keeping
Bane has been
pressure on.
MVP.
And I think Shunsui is forced to play Galakron or die.
And he will. Let's see what the 2 free cards are. He only got 2 invokes off. Questing and Evil Miscreant. Likely
Not
that you
what
just
he
have
was
to play them
looking
both.
for. Yeah, I think the questing has to come down first, though.
Yeah,
Not that it really matters. No, he's gonna hold back. Okay.
I mean, a 3/3 on board is better than a 0/0 on board, which is what he has out of that questing now, unfortunately. I'm sure he was really hoping for something like Kronks, but just was not to be.
Taking some chances. Fortunately for Shunsui, Mike V does not have the burst to kill him right now. Going with Explorer.
Oh, Rotten Streak's a big card.
Rotnest is amazing.
I mean,
think
Evasive
you
Worm is fine
pretty much
too.
Always want to take it.
Yeah, I would say Rottennest in this case, it's 1 mana cheaper.
It just
Bigger
gets to
stats, yeah.
allow you to push damage without leaving anything on the board and develop a 6/5. And unless Shunsui top decks a Kronks, which that's not it, he is almost certainly out of this game.
Probably have to, well, yeah, might as well play the questing first. It's free. Why not? Seal Fate, let's see what you get for a Lackey and see if there's any way that you can save yourself here. Hopefully, hoping for Spell Lackey, you know?
For a Shoot Lackey or a Spell Lackey?
Yeah,
I
it didn't happen.
suppose. He gets neither.
Is there a way that he can keep himself alive for a turn to Alexstrasza? None of those are really saviors.
I think there may have been a way with rushing the poison minion, but he probably would have had to Seal Fate the Primordial and rush the poison or rush the questing. Probably rushing the poison to kill the Rotnest. And yeah, this is just going to do it.
That's a big hit, though. I mean, so he can go ahead and take out the 6/5.
But every minion he develops makes Hounds better.
Yeah, plays on the Unleash the Hounds, absolutely.
And not removing the 6 damage guaranteed. Instead chooses to remove the 3 damage that's not guaranteed to push more. This is definitely lethal, right? 6, 7,
This is
8, 9,
absolutely
10, 11,
lethal.
12. It's lethal on board. He doesn't even need the Hounds. If he just sends the hero power face, it's over.
But Ron, I gotta tell you, we can trigger the secret.
He must have wanted to trigger the secret. Oh, and
And the
there's
Kronks was
Kronks in a
next, and Shadow Step.
Just barely too late,
Well
and
played.
down goes Shunsui. That's going to be a 3-1 victory for Mike V, spoiling Shunsui's perfect stream record, and really well played throughout. Just Hunter really got there with 2 straight very strong performances.
Yeah, very impressed with the play from Mike V. I mean, he did lose that that one game in the series, but ultimately I felt like he definitely did what he needed to do to win. Consistently across the series, and in just I don't know. It's hard to really fault his play. I can't think of any immediate misplays that he had during that series.
No, he played great throughout the whole series. There were a couple decisions that were uh, questionable, just because as a rogue there are so many things that you can do and so many different lines that you could take. But I think the lines that he ultimately settled on were very good and definitely put him in a position for success.
And speaking of put in a position for success, that is a win of the week for Tanpams over ATL, as they were already up 8-2 going into that, as we mentioned at the
Yeah,
top. They
that's
are
going to lock it up for
12
them,
to
and a
3,
big win, important win for playoff
humongous,
standings.
absolutely. So, yeah, now we're gonna have to switch gears here to Legacy. That's Conquest, of course. So those who are tuning in, maybe for the first time to THL stream, we do Last Hero Standing as well as Conquest. Conquest is what you're probably more familiar with if you watch any Masters Tour, Grandmasters, etc. You got to win with every deck rather than just not lose all with all of your decks. So that is how we are going to shift as we move into Game 2 with Anfal of the Hot ZILFS versus Debs of Mrgl. Big matchup. This is the 1-2 seed in the Legacy Red Conference. Hot ZILFS need a sweep out of Anfal to tie the week, as Mrgl has a tight grip on the lead right now. So first things first, let's talk about the matchup here class-wise. I said Legacy Red. I meant Legacy Gold. I apologize. Always forget, season to season which conference is which and which teams are which. But I've also am just noticing that I accidentally put in Druid for I've got Debs all wrong. Apparently, I was putting in Dibs because when I
Yes,
set up the classes, I set up Dibs' classes instead of Debs because
they got you.
confusion. They got me. They got me. So I'm gonna fix that on the fly here, real quick, so that we have it accurate.
Yeah, so
But
Debs is actually playing Demon Hunter, Mage, Warlock, and Warrior.
that is correct.
Going into, I'm sure Anfalls are correct though, with Druid, Hunter, Rogue,
Anfalls are
Warrior.
correct because no one on his team has a similar name to him. So
Yep, easy to figure out.
easy to make those correct. So we're going to fix this real quick, but I'll let you talk about what you think we might see here in this matchup first while that's going on.
Absolutely. So some really interesting classes from Debs for sure, with Mage and Warlock being brought alongside the Demon Hunter Warrior, which has been a staple for a while. Despite the nerf that recently came out, Demon Hunter is still been proving its strength quite a bit, and Warrior has been so dominant throughout the series. With both players bringing Warrior, I'd say it's very likely that we are going to see a double Warrior ban again. For those Warrior fans out there, sorry to disappoint you, but ZILFS
And by
versus
you, he means the
Mrgl so
one
far.
singular you who's a fan.
Yeah, a Warrior fan out there, I should say.
The one jerk who, it's probably C-Mac. We're going to be honest. It's C-Mac, right?
It's always C-Mac. So, so we've got across the board in this match between these two teams. We had in the 1 seed double Warrior Band, 2 seed double Warrior Band, 3 seed double Warrior Band, 5 seed double Warrior Band. And in this battle of the 4 seeds, with 2 players bringing Warrior, I got a gut feeling. I'm just going to throw it out there. I think it's going to be a double Warrior Band.
Well, I'll let you know right now, you are 4 for 4 is a double Warrior man.
Shocker.
I mean, it's not like exactly having the test results, the SAT in front of you, but still impressed with be 4 for 4. So that is correct. We are going to see Druid, Hunter, Rogue of Anfal versus Debs' Demon Hunter, Mage, Warlock, which is cool that we're going to see 6 different classes though in this one series. potentially.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's exciting to see things get mixed up a little bit. I'm looking forward to seeing Mage and Warlock get to play. Besides just our typical um, grouping of lately seems Druid, Hunter, Rogue has been brought quite a bit. Also, one quick thing to add for the previous game. I was just talking to Shunsui, and he wanted a message to be spread to the public that
Sure.
Mike V has the Shadow's blessings this time. Wahaha.
I love that he stays on brand the entire time, win or lose. A good sport about it all.
Absolutely. And again, congratulations to Mike V on a big victory there. But moving on to the legacy match, these two teams, both I think very, very likely playoff teams. I don't think the outcome of this match will knock either team out of the contention by any means. But really exciting to see if Anfal can pull off a tie for his team if he gets a sweep. But every point matters in a series like this too. So this will be a pivotal match between two great players. Anfal on a very big hot streak at 6-1. Debs looking to get back to 500 by picking up a win here to go to 4-4.
Yeah, it should be mentioned that not only is Anfal on a hot streak, he's currently the #1 ranked player in Legacy. So,
Oh wow, nice.
for Debs looking for, just the notoriety of coming in and knocking off a player of Anfal's caliber, not only to secure the week for your team, which is great, secure the 1 seed for your team, most likely with a win, which would also be fantastic for Mrgl, on an individual level. You want to go ahead and prove that you're capable of taking out somebody of Anfal's level, which would be an impressive win nonetheless, regardless.
Absolutely. Yeah, and it shouldn't be understated as well that Anfal actually in the Hero series picked up a win over undefeated Base Think
Yeah,
in Heroes. So
playing
definitely
very
no
well.
slouch when it comes to other series as well. This should be an exciting matchup, and definitely Debs is going to have his hands full.
Base is probably super happy you brought that up, by the way.
Sorry about that,
I
Base.
just want to put it on record that you brought it up and I did not, because Anfal's on my
Hey,
team in Hero as well, so...
hey, if it makes you feel any better, if you're watching out there, Base, I'm hanging out at 1-7 in Heroes, so you can you can hate on me all you like. It's just pile it on.
Well, with that said, we are going to go ahead and let these players know they're ready to roll. Anfal will be on the bottom, with Debs on the top.
Perfect, yeah, and double warrior bands. Interesting to see what the lead will be. I have to assume that Debs is most likely going to lead with Demon Hunter, since it is fairly strong into everything except Rogue, which is about even. And for Anfal, wouldn't be surprised to see him lead with Rogue, expecting a Demon Hunter lead.
Yeah, I think Rogue is, since it's one of those classes that it doesn't have extreme highs or lows, you're safe to lead with it. To at least guarantee that you're going to have a matchup that's not overwhelmingly terrible.
True, good point.
So here we go. Let's jump on in. It's going to be Hunter for Anfal versus Mage.
You asked for it.
Oh, very interesting. Leading with Mage and running into a Hunter right away for Debs is a bit of a tall order, but Mage has been able to find wins against anything before, so it is unfavored, but there's always a chance.
And it was a tough opening hand there for Debs. He's going to chuck at least most of that. He kept the ice barrier. Makes you wonder if he's running Ancient Mysteries, or even a second secret for that matter. But Anfal has the Blazing Battle Mage to play on 1, which we will see.
Yep, Battle Mage on 1, always good. Likely pass from Debs. And nothing to do but press the button. That's okay. Hunter likes to press the button.
It is a good thing to do if you're weaving it in. Weaving it in, not using it as your entire turn, of course.
And you were right, he does run the Mysteries package, which means he's going to pick up a 0-mana Flame Ward. I'd be surprised to see it played right away just to deal with the 2/2, though, and he
Yes.
is going to hold it.
I'm kind of surprised he kept the Ice Barrier if he had the Mystery, because I mean you're one bad draw away from all of a sudden having a dead card in your deck.
Right, I'm surprised as well that the Ice Barrier was kept, given that that's the package he's running.
You know, I'm thinking that maybe Debs was thinking Face Hunter.
Very possible. And a Flame Ward ping is decent. He's going to go with the Ray as well to block 2 damage, technically, from hitting face.
Yeah, definitely prioritizing the health total early on, which can become a problem, of course, if you don't make it to your power turns as a mage with that 6, 7, 8. Obviously Anfal's trying to do the same thing as Highlander Hunter here, but it can be very, very damaging if you're in tough shape and just trying to use your resources to stay alive as mage. You want to be using your resources to really take control of the board at that stage of the game.
Absolutely. And a Zephyrus pickup for Anfal, he could consider using it now for a flare. Since the rest of his turn looked awkward, I think that's what he's going for.
Flare is the pickup. That's
Says, get
not
that
bad,
Flame Ward
yeah.
out of here. He protects the 4/3 and gets to push 2 there.
Not the flashiest use of a Zephyrus anyone's ever seen, but it is effective in this case because now Debs has to try and find another way to take
Debs
some of this
holding
off the
Rolling
board.
Fireball. Yeah, it looks like he's just going to use this to clear up the board. I think that's a good use of it.
Seems as good as any, but again, if you're Anfal, you probably consider that to be a win. That you took not only coin out of hand, but also one of the most powerful removal tools the deck has to offer.
True, but I bet it doesn't feel like that much of a win, considering 9 damage just left the board.
Very true.
And this is as good a play as any, pushing 4 damage there and developing a 3/3. And on Deb's side, some interesting options. Mally not being active, he may just choose to play the Ice Barrier and ping. Don't know if the Ray of Frost is worth using here on a 3/3. He thinks otherwise. He's going to just try to block all damage from coming in.
Yeah, I like the possibility of maybe holding on to that for the CMOT that we see in hand, but also the possibility of a Bran. If you don't have the immediate way to handle the 8/8, you can stall a turn. If you can get to your Reno, then that's not terrible. But Anfal is he's just going to put as much out on board, it looks like, as possible, and possibly maybe set up for Tiamat next turn. He could always Faceless Corruptor plus Hero Power next turn if he wants to Faceless on the 1/3, depending on what Debs plays here on turn 6.
And maybe Observer was actually the play last turn. With minimal power on the board, he could have pinged the Scale Rider to set up it being cleared shortly. Instead, facing down some power, a Tiamat ready to go. He knows the Observer can't wake up and hit it. Faceless Corruptor is an option, but it doesn't actually do timuch.
No, I think a Tiamat is fine. Scavenger's Ingenuity is interesting. I would hold on to that if I was him, because Zixor will be a...
I don't know what beast he runs. I assume if he's
Griffin,
considering
right?
it, he probably runs the Griffin as the only other beast besides Zixor.
Yeah, but why would you want that when you could have a big old Zixor?
Yeah, it feels better used for a charged up Zixor, and the Tiamat Divine Shield Wind Fury is so strong it can just flat out win games.
Because the counter here that we see in Debs' hand is his own Tiamat, and if you put Divine Shield on that thing, it's going to be impossible to clear.
Get countered at all, yeah.
Right, it's impossible to clear, and you're potentially just winning next turn. And no, he's
Instead, he enables the Tiamat to actually take both of these 4/4s right off the board with a Rush Wind Fury on Deb's side. Which looks like about the only play Debs can reasonably make. Just to try to keep damage off of his face.
Which he will.
Anfal's still in a very strong position, though, with the ability to Dragon Queen next turn. Tiamat will actually lose the Divine to the Observer if he plays it on this turn, since the Observer wakes up.
Not a high-powered tracking there, but it does get 3 cards out of your deck that you really don't want to be drawing at this juncture in the game. I would imagine you're probably looking at Desert Spear here just to have something to keep poking at the face with, but he opts for the Imprisoned Felma instead. Tiamat coming down, I would imagine there's no other choice now.
I actually would have expected the Fairy Dragon just as a dragon activator and a card that can't be pinged, something that turns
Reasonable.
on.
Especially since you know you weren't going to be playing at this turn. You know, you had Tiamat in mind.
Yeah.
And now it's going to come down to Malygos.
Mally's active. He could go for the Hail Mary Power of Creation and hope for something like Kartut Defender. Or he could try for a Mally Freeze or Mally Polymorph.
Mally it is, and he gets Flame Strike, he gets Nova. Nova's the one that you can play.
Really just buys one turn, although being able to drop the Doomsayer here is huge. We see Anfal has no answer to the Doomsayer.
Bran!
And there's a top deck Dancer.
Now the question becomes, what do you do? You're playing Bran this turn.
Possibly. The upcoming turn is turn 9, so the only thing that punishes you is Alex, which actually Debs is holding. If you tried to push for the lethal setup with Bran by playing Hounds, you could get 5 damage push right now with Hounds and just allow the board to be cleared. But I think it's better in almost every case to just play Bran and kill the Doomsayer, rather than taking the Dragon Queen out and hoping you get a dragon that clears.
Yeah, that's 2 very, very high value targets on board now that it's unlikely that you'll be able to clear both of them here. So it's probably up to...
Debs is down to, what, a Frost Nova top deck?
Or a Tortollan for top deck.
Tortollan for Frost Nova and or Puzzle Box. I think he has to play the Tortollan and pray.
I would imagine that's the higher percentage play than the Power of Creation is.
Any other play but Pilgrim is probably going to mean game over.
And if he's running Flame Strike, not a card that's typically run, that's another option on a Tortollan.
Yeah, oh, he's trading first. I'm not sure I like the trade.
Puzzle Box it is. Here
All right, what's in the box? This is what we all came here for. Let's find out.
Oh, destroying a minion. Where's it going? Oh, it's the one he needs.
Amazing first hit.
And everything's frozen.
The right things. Turns off his Highlander effects. And gives Anfal the Zixer Prime. If he doesn't top deck it, a Scavenger's is going to draw a whole bunch of beefy ones. Plague of Madness.
No, he sapped it.
Oh, wow. That is not a good minion to sap.
Extra daggers. Dual wielding the daggers.
That's 8 more. And that's... Well, actually, he has the Noble Sack. Otherwise, it would have been just lethal.
I think it's...
So
yeah, put him down to 1, though.
Right now.
And the Repentance is the other one.
Is it? No, it's still not lethal because Hounds wouldn't do it either.
It would have been lethal had it not been Repentance, but...
yeah, Noble Sack.
Yeah. Or, sorry, Noble Sack, yes. Repentance was what was happening on the screen, so I read the word.
And
so,
I mean, he's still got options to not die by hitting face, playing Reno, clearing up the board, and praying he's not dead to 6.
As I say, is 6 enough?
I mean he's on
he sees 4.
He's on a 2-turn clock minimum with the weapon and the hero power.
And we've got Alex in hand, though, so that's the thing, is if Anfal can't kill Debs this turn, he resets.
This is true. I think it would make the most sense to play the Scavengers. I don't know why he's holding it here. Oh, he's playing it at the end of his turn?
No,
he's not playing it at all.
Yeah, you definitely want to draw that before you just draw the Zixor by itself. Well, you know what? I guess the downside is you play that, you draw the 4-1 instead, but then you get the Zixor out of the 4-1, so it's, you know, it's not terrible either way.
Oh, I keep forgetting that Anfal actually runs.
I mean, we have to imagine he does. I don't know for sure.
I assume he does. You're right. Yeah.
So Alex comes down as is predictable, and that's not a bad pickup either.
Yeah, this could easily just be Hounds and clear off a 1-1, use the Drake to kill the Alex.
Probably testing for the secret first, which we know is Redemption. So you definitely want to clear that 1-1 first if you're Anfal.
He could have been punished by Never Surrender here, because the Hounds would not have been able to clear the inn for the Rotnest Drake play. But not punished there, gets to jam the Rotnest, and this looks all but over for
Yeah, this is a
Debs.
strong position here. What's in the Reno box though? Corrosive Breath doesn't hit face.
And draws a dragon afterwards.
So now
Not that it
Power of
would've
Creation.
mattered, but probably doesn't feel great. I think he has to play the Power of Creation and pray. Looking for a Kartut.
Rush Wind Fury.
Rush Wind Fury
It takes
is
one thing off the board. I mean, either or,
only,
they can both
yeah.
take one thing off the board.
Yeah, the options are basically irrelevant because
Actually,
minions have high enough attack.
it's
to kill
not
the Wind
irrelevant
Fury.
because keeping 2 minions on board is important to try and soak up this Felmaw. Better chances it doesn't go to face, but we know what Face Maw likes to do, and Face Maw
there it goes.
hunts that face.
Felmaw takes the win. Granted, it was looking really dire for Debs. I don't think there was anything that was going to change the outcome of that game, and Anfal picks up a strong 1-0 lead to keep ZILF's hope of a tie alive.
Yeah, I think we ran into the situation that we were talking about early on, where when you're the mage, you don't want to be using your 7, 8, 9, 10 turn as reactive turns. You want to be using it to push your agenda and make sure that you can start to find a way to choke the opponent off of the board and clear and finish it out. And right there, Anfal just had enough to keep pressuring so that Debs had to make responses rather than getting his own game plan going.
Absolutely, and here we see the mage being brought for the second time from Debs. Anfal switching to Rogue with a pretty strong opener with Pharaoh Count and the 2 Praise Galacrons. And a Miscreant on coin. This looks exactly like what Anfal wants to see. On Deb's side of things, he's got some of the pieces for a really early puzzle box. All we need
Just
is
missing
the
the
dragon
box.
and the box.
Well, Rolling Fireball, it's not a dragon, it's not a box, but it is now a free spell if he can pick up the dragon, which is not a terrible thing to have.
And Anfal with a lot of options with the Shotbot, the Skyvateer, the Coin Miscreant, Praise Galacrons. Interesting to see the line he'll take here.
Yeah, I like
Arguable that any one of these would be a great line.
I like the Shotbot mostly because it continues to put pressure on board. It's hard to remove pressure. Skyvateer seemed like a lesser option just because of the fact that you don't have what I assume is in his deck, the Greyheart Sage, in order to draw some cards. But that's the route he takes.
He could be hoping for the Sage off the top. He could also just be wanting to double Praise Galacron on the... Yep. Just to have a higher attack, higher health minion that's more difficult for Debs to deal with. Or is he going to coin the Miscreant here? Still options, quite a few of them.
No, I like continuing to put things down. Yep, Kobold Lackey's not a bad one here, because he can play a Lackey next turn, and I think I would have played the Rush because you can play the Kobold for free next turn and not have to worry about.
Yeah. Oh no, he's not going to coin the Shotbot. I was going to say that might be a great play because he still has Lackey Miscreant for turn 4. but
Yeah.
choosing to float the mana instead.
I think I would have played the Goblin Lackey there on the 3/3, make it a 4/3 just to max damage, because then you can Kobold Lackey knowing that you'll have something to hit, and then Evil Miscreant the turn after. But Pharaoh Cat is the draw. That also activates Evil Miscreant as his 1 mana. Another Shotbot, and we're apparently watching a Mech Mage.
Wow.
Or a Mech Rogue, rather.
Yeah, fascinating. 2 Shotbots here, and here comes the coin. He's going to evolve the Miscreant to go for even stronger cards.
3/3, I would say that is average.
And a Fireball on the far left clears everything but a cat. Rolling Fireball, that is.
Is he gonna run he's gonna run the Shadow Step out there on the Witchy Lackey, hoping
Going
maybe
for a higher health minion, probably looking to play around it, and exactly the same stats. Disappointing for Anfal there. Expresses his disappointment with the emote. Yeah, the option, instead of Fireball, obviously Reno can do 10 damage instead of 8, so that's a full clear with the Mana Saver, obviously. Much better play.
Anfal has invoked twice already. That will make it 3, and he's got the Devoted Maniac in hand for 4. So theoretically, he has a fully invoked Galakrond here if he can draw it or Kronks to get it into his hand.
Absolutely. Still good looking start for Anfal, but starting to lose the board a little bit, maybe regretting not playing those shot bots or floating the mana earlier in the game. I'm sure he wasn't thrilled about the evolve he got, and some not great options being offered. Plague of Madness has some application. It's reasonable. Shadow of Death is often terrible, and Fan is always a consideration just to draw. But going with Plague, probably the best choice to deal with some of the bigger things Mage can put out as threats.
I would say not only that, but it's also a 1-cost card, which can activate things like Edwin. It can activate Questing Adventurer if that's in the deck. And if nothing else, it just reads, I do 2 damage to you right now, if you don't have time.
Yeah. And on Deb's side, the turn 6 Dream is dead. No box, no dragon. Just going to play a secret and an orc. Pretty good for board control. Anfal with a lot of cards, but nothing that's really all that impactful. I'm a bit surprised he chose to backstab there rather than just take the extra 2 damage.
I agree with that. I think just that taking the 2 is, it's not ideal, but you're fine with it.
He's going to go ahead and clear the board. And here comes Shotbot number 1, probably floating mana instead of playing a Lackey. Indeed he does, holding them back. This game really looks like it's shifting quickly in Deb's favor, despite not having a dragon or a box, to my great disappointment. We have a number of other options. Zeph can come down at any point. Choosing to go with just clearing the minion. Are we seeing Bone Wraith? Are we seeing Solarian?
Solarian it is.
The earlier he's played, the better often for Mage. The earlier he dies, the faster, of course, you get the Prime in your deck, which can be its own little mini box and create all kinds of mayhem. And Anfal using the last charge on the poison weapon.
Testing out the secret there.
Kronks here. And we know that he is fully invoked, correct? No,
he is not. He is not fully invoked. He needs to play the Devoted Maniac.
Right. That's right. He's holding the Maniac, but he hasn't played it. Which makes Galakrond awkward for the following turn. We likely see the Maniac get played on turn 8, no matter what happens on Deb's turn here, and then a full invoked Galakrond on 9.
So I'll pose the question to you then, because knowing that you were going to draw a Galakron that you had no intentions of playing on turn 8, would it have been better to just Devoted Maniac there, see what you get for a Lackey, and maybe kind of build your turn out from that point forward? Then maybe you get lucky and top deck Galakron and you don't have to use Kronks for that, or you top deck Shadow Steps, that way you can just pull Kronks back.
What to do?
I agree. I think that Devoted Maniac may have been the stronger play there because you're also holding a Goblin Lackey, which you can use to rush Kronks on turn 8 if you needed Kronks' power
Definitely.
for something like, say, a Tiamat.
Yeah, absolutely.
And still no dragons in hand. Just going to use that Arcane Breath to kill a Lackey. Blocks the Togwaggle from getting played right now. Not that it likely would have come down since he couldn't have paired it with the wand on this turn without a prep, which he either doesn't run or isn't holding. Now he's full invoked.
We can see a Tiamat clear here if he decides to... Nope, never mind. He cannot. I was say he's 1 mana shy. Because I was thinking Laggy plus Shotbot, but that's not... they can't dagger after that.
Right. There was actually an option with Fairy Dragon Goblin Lackey, but he wasn't offered it. So there wasn't going to be any way to kill Tiamat on this turn. He is sitting at 26 health, so that's not a massive threat at the moment.
Correct. And we see that Tiamat doesn't have Wind Fury or anything too, so it does represent 6 damage, which isn't ideal, but it's not like it's a 12 damage swing to your face.
Yeah, and if Debs has been tracking the action, he knows now that Anfal is holding a fully invoked Galakron, which is all but guaranteed to come down next turn and draw 4 0-mana cards, so this is the moment to see what you can do. Finally draws the dragon.
But immediately plays the dragon.
I do like this line. I think, yeah, he might just push the knife damage because he's holding Zephyrus, so...
Absolutely.
He's just looking for damage. Galakron uses most of the mana. He can't control the 0-mana cards he draws. That's a 6/6 and an 8/8 with not much power.
I still think it has to be the Galakron, though, because, I mean, at worst, you can go ahead and rush that Spy Mistress you just drew.
Right, and also that's armor gain. So
Right.
you're at 7. You want to go up to
Oh,
at least 5.
Oh, my goodness.
Draws an Edwin. Oh, wow.
This is humongous. That was such a good Galakron.
That was an incredible Galakron. That probably is going to be game-winning.
The ordering of the turn here from this point forward is what matters the most.
Absolutely. And you see Anfal led correctly by playing the Questing Adventurer first. Edwin comes last, or potentially second to last if he chooses to rush the Edwin with a Goblin Lackey. I'd say it's very likely that a Goblin Lackey is going to come down to rush something. It could just
I
be
agree.
the Questing.
And that Edwin
yep,
is
he
going to be
chooses rush
humongous.
The Questing Adventurer, push damage, massive Edwin.
And Edwin right in the middle. I like that because you do kind of protect against the rolling fireball.
Instead of Zeph for lethal, now it's Zeph for Twisting Nether.
Which in and of itself is not a terrible thing for Debs, but you would have really liked to just try to end the game here.
Absolutely.
No brawl, huh? Don't want to take... I'm just kidding. That's never the right play.
Not going to chance that Zeph wins that brawl.
But now we're going to see Lackey Togwaggle.
I think he may even choose to hold back the Lackey on this turn and just develop the Waxadread, Spy Mistress, Skyvateer, because he can always Lackey Tog Wand next turn.
Sure.
No, he wants to get Togwaggle now. Okay.
Alternatively, do you Lackey and take like Zarog's Crown here? Because you've already drawn a lot of your high value cards.
Actually, it's a good point. You may not want to deck yourself. It's usually Wand, but Crown might be the better option at this point.
Yeah, Crown seems like it's like you said, it's not always the right choice. It's actually very rarely the right choice. But having already seen the Kronks, obviously we've got Galakron.
And he's drawn all the power cards that he actually wants to draw into. The only other thing that would be really good is the second copy of Questing to charge
Eviscerate.
Up.
Yeah, second Eviscerate. If there's, I assume the second Eviscerate in the deck.
And Rolling Fireball is going to deal with this board, including the stealth, quite well. He's got a Bone Wraith that he can drop to add more protection. The weapon charges are gone. This is going to be a tough position for Anfal unless the crown is good.
Probably going to have to lead. Yeah, he leads hero power. No, he's
I'm
not
a
going
bit
to lead with the crown.
surprised we still aren't seeing the Waxadred. I guess he's playing around the Reno, maybe? Okay, Shoot Lackey takes out the first part of the Bone Wraith.
Yeah, I think Reno, playing... Oh, Dragon Queen Alexstrasza at this juncture.
Wow.
I don't know if that's active, but it's got to be close.
He's down to 9 cards in decks, so it probably is active. And here we just go stats with Noswhisker, I assume.
Why not? Yeah, absolutely. And Debs, I mean, the main consideration for, I was going to say for Reno,
And
is that he's had the
there's
Dragon
Reno off the
Caster.
top.
He's had the Dragon Caster in
always
hand
playing
all
that
game.
clear. And yeah, Dragon Caster was only briefly active with an Alex that he chose to use for the lethal burst.
Oh, but the Dragon Queen Alex is
Dragon
active
Queen
now.
Alexstrasza, active. One
Oh,
answer to Reno.
Nozdormu, what a jerk. I do not like him. We've talked about this card, but it's still a day. Oh my god, Nozdormu times 2.
Oh, wow. I think we're just going to see Pilgrim Box at this point.
Bite. Extra armor. Yeah, but what I was going to say was that Dragon Caster's been in hand this whole game, and Anfal might have been looking at that saying, well, there's a card you've been holding this entire game. It might be Reno, and it wasn't.
So we got a Rampage, does nothing,
Couple
air
taunts.
raid. It hits his
Nas
opponent.
has taunt now.
Rush with no time to actually
Yeah, he's
play
not going to be
it.
able to actually do anything.
Gift of the Wild is big.
Oh, where does Pyro
Wow.
go?
Pyro.
Oh my goodness, it went to his, it
for
killed him!
lethal. Oh my god.
There were
What?
10 options.
An unbelievable
That was a
finish
1 out of
from
10.
Debs. And you know, sometimes when your back is up against the wall, you just have to ask yourself, what's in the box?
I
And
am
Debs
floored.
with a spectacular come from behind victory to lock up the win for Mrgl for the week.
That was breathtaking and agonizing and many adjectives all in one.
A pyroblast to the face is unreal when your opponent is at exactly 10 with that many other targets. RNGesus was smiling down on Debs in that game. It didn't seem like it for a good part of that game, including the randomly discovered Alexstrasza, but it somehow worked out for him, and now we're moving on to game 3. Both players got to shake this off, get points for their team. Anfal bringing the rogue back, and Debs queuing up a Demon Hunter.
Yeah, this is now a situation where tilt is a huge factor. I'm sure you don't want to get tilted by that extremely unlucky outcome. You've got to lock it down. Points matter, even if the win is no longer there.
That was down to just a miracle 10 spells, and not only did it look bad through most of it, but it flipped around in the most tilting way, I think, with that kind of lethal.
Yeah, that's definitely going to test the mental constitution from here on out. But Anfal does get the backstab to counter that Battle Fiend, play the Skyvateer, and you know, the early aggression from Demon Hunter has been quelled. But then there's just the regular early aggression, which is what's going to happen here over the next 2 turns.
Yeah, a strong start from both players, and we see that Deb's hand is full of early game cards. An awkward turn for Anfal with very likely an awkward follow-up. Does he want to unstealth the minion for a value trade? Does he want to trade the cat? Does he want to push 1 damage with the cat and pass? There's a lot of considerations here.
Yeah, I think using the Skyvateer to go ahead and clear off the 1/1 is fine.
It does feel so bad if you top deck a Sage, which may be the consideration that he just wants to leave it stealthed. That sequence surprises me a little bit, that he didn't keep the minion on board since he chose to unstealth it.
Hey, I got you,
And
friend.
the Twin Slice, quote-unquote nerf, coming in with the ability to clear that minion with the card that it may not have otherwise been able to do.
Really awkward now. It probably has to just be questing plus praise.
Yeah, and that feels pretty bad. I could even see a praise on the 1-2 just to get the evil miscreant active to generate lackeys, but that doesn't feel good. And I think, yeah, more likely he does just have to commit to getting a 4-3, which easily dies to the second
Oh,
twins or the second slice, and even
I-beam.
yeah, I-beam off the top is an incredibly good answer for that. He can health buff his minion even further.
Hey, I got you, friend.
Anfal finally with something that he can play that is an extremely awkward with the Lackey Miscreant. Or Spy Mistress would have been helpful to see that a turn earlier, I'm sure.
Either way, we're looking at resource-wise, Debs is kind of running out. Anfal knows that coin is in the middle of his hand over there. And he's been holding on to a card since turn 1, the mulligan. But at this point, Debs is looking for anything he can to just continue to push as much damage as possible and end this game before the rogue can really do, what he'd like to do. And as far as that
Wow.
Battle Fiend is concerned, that thing is just immortal at this
Wow,
point.
what a top deck. And that just charges up the Battle Fiend even more. This is starting to look like
it's a
Flick
flick.
has to come down
It
just
has
to kill
to.
a Battle Fiend.
You don't love it, but it has to.
Because this Battle Fiend is really getting out of hand. That's a 6-6 now. That thing started as a 1-2. Madness.
One stab, finish him.
And
I did
we
hear
see
this
the Flick.
class was nerfed, right?
I heard something about that. I don't know. I have my doubts. And fortunately for Anfal, he's holding Galakron because Metamorphosis provides enough burst to just kill him over a couple turns. And we're going to see the Metamorphosis and coin.
Curious. I don't know why we would meta.
So,
yeah.
He elected to...
Oh, he's got coin. He's got coin, yeah.
Yeah. Interesting that he elected to kill the Flick there. Instead of just straight up pushing the damage.
He figured with second slice he's just got enough to go with,
but
you know?
Galakron is the only play, I believe. Any other play and you are dead. If you're tracking his hand, you know he's holding the second slice. He has lethal presented. You have to just play it and pray.
Ooh.
That is not the card you're looking for. Can't even deal with this minion on board without trading your own.
He does have the capability of making a reasonable sized Edwin next turn.
True.
Not sure I would have praised there. I think I would have saved the praise for the next turn.
And just the hero power being pressed twice is going to set Anfal to 6. Putting a Glaive-bound Adept on the top. The other options were Chaos Strike and Bone Shrew Growler. He may have chosen the Chaos Strike. But Adept representing so much damage.
Adept is pretty much it with the second slice.
It should be the option. And not a lot of answers from Anfal's side. He needs a taunt. Just to
taunt
block
lackey, yep.
The damage. Removal and taunt.
Bamboozle's not going to do it.
Faceless could find a taunt.
Gonna have to lackey twice. Question is, what do you lackey here? I think you probably leave the 3-1 up. Probably lackey one of your other lackeys. Egg is not gonna do it.
No, that's not useful either. So it is very likely game
Oh, Larmobot, even worse.
a 0-3 into a 0-3, and if he hadn't taken the Adept, he may not have had lethal. Obviously, Adept was the choice, and that's going to be game over. We're moving on to game 4. Debs with a quick turnaround, up 2-1 now, going into potentially a final game 4. Anfal back against the wall. His rogue so far has been letting him down, and we're going to see Debs has Warlock remaining. So Anfal
Yep.
most likely still queuing up that rogue again.
I would think, the Warlock is most likely the quest Warlock. So you want
I would
to,
think so too.
So you want to queue up whatever is best against quest Warlock, which I think would be the rogue. It's
And
not
yep,
quested
Anfal's
Zoo.
Gonna roll with that. Oh, it is. That's
Did
discard
Tweeg
Zoo lock.
Did Tweeg play under Debs for this team, or
And oh my god, Debs has
the
exactly
hand?
the 3 cards that he wants to see most in his opening hand. This looks like trouble for Anfal. On Anfal's side, he does have a reasonable start. Questing Adventure, especially off the top, holding coin, could be enough to maybe charge up enough power. Obviously, we're going to see the Merchant come down, draw some cards, make Scrap Imp better. And he's not going to play anything else, so everything gets buffed. And that's another Scrap Imp. My goodness.
Yeah, this is just an aggressive opening hand for Debs, and it's only getting better.
And things look pretty dire for Anfal. Yep, going with the questing, taking that opportunity to now to charge it up as much as possible. Hope that it can't get cleared. As we can see, it absolutely can be cleared because Debs is holding a carpet that's going to get a buff as well as 1-drops. And we immediately see the carpet come down.
That carpet is divine shielded.
That gives shield to the carpet, allows it to play around undamaged removal effects, and clears a questing. This is the strength of discard Zoo Warlock. When it rolls like this, there aren't a whole lot of decks that are able to beat it.
Anfal just trying to find some way, any way, to get rid of as much as he can. He has Seal Fate for the 3/3. Is obviously going to go ahead and use the.
He's playing correctly here by just clearing the carpet. I think that was the move more than the Seal Fate, and the Scrap Imp could trade and play around Seal Fate, but Anfal just really not having anything that is going to let him keep his head above water when it comes to this brutal opener.
Yeah, generally with aggro decks, as we've seen with Demon Hunter and previously Zoo Warlock, when it was much more apparent in the meta, you just want to outlast the aggro deck. You run them out of resources, win around turn 6 or 7 when they are just top decking. This deck is just not running out of gas anytime soon. With all the discard of those Hands of Gul'dan, with the early Scrap Imp, there is just so little that you can do against a hand like that.
Yeah, and I mean, it's possible Anfal could survive given that he's holding Flick, especially if his opponent chooses to play the other Nightshade Matron as the majority of his mana on this turn. But oh, he is going to do that. But it's still a discard of a card draw and a refill. Oh, he's considering it. He may not play it. Tough considerations here, given that you want to buff things even more. But your board is so strong, you also feel like you should just flood and push damage and try to win the game.
Yeah,
I don't mind that. By holding back a taunt.
Yeah, I don't mind not playing the Matron because it is a heads up play. knowing that if he's, it's just dead if he's got flick.
Oh, I feel like Anfal has to play the flick on the 7/6 and backstab a 2/2 here.
I agree.
Or punch the Squire and
I can also
backstab
see
it.
Shadow Step that flick.
Yeah, you might have to, actually.
It's your best removal option right now. I mean, he's got Faceless Corruptor too, which you can, drop a Draconic Lackey, play Faceless Corruptor, he's got Devoted Maniac to rush. So, I mean, honestly, there are options here.
Yeah, he is finding ways to keep his head above water.
I was a bit alarmist a few turns ago, but it does look like it might be possible.
I still don't see how he gets to survive here. Just there's so much power and card draw consistently being represented by Debs, and if he's running the list that I think he is, then he most likely has a Zephyr in his deck as well, which means he's getting closer and closer to drawing an active Zephyrus, which could be a lethal burst.
A little taunt pickup there for Anfal. Not necessarily the best play this turn. And now every turn just has to be about crafting a way to get rid of as much off the board as possible.
Going with the Lackey here, I assume we see Faceless Corruptor get played on that Lackey just to deal with the board a bit
Absolutely. And I think then it becomes time to Shadow Step the 4/1 flick, now that it didn't get punished by staying out there.
True. Well, it survived to the board other than a double trade, which, given the amount of damage that Debs has already been able to push, it felt reasonably safe to leave it up as just bait to target something too. And full hand, but does not burn Zephyrus, fortunately for Debs. Now he's got a ton of things with lots of stats.
You're paying.
Og Merchant.
And now there's the punish for flick.
Maybe kept it up a bit too long, seeing that his opponent didn't have any minions that could attack immediately and hoping it would survive. Wow. The double Og Merchant there to kill 1 health minions is absolutely brutal. And this board should probably do it. Again, there may be some outs for Anfal.
I'm not quite sure what it would be.
I mean, if Brawl was a legendary minion, then possibly
sure.
Brightwing could give him a clear. But I don't think there's any Brawl on a stick minions that exist.
Caladan would have been a clear if he had 9 mana and drew it.
But it only counts if it's drawn this turn, so that wouldn't even...
Oh, not generated. Not generated. You're right.
Yeah.
Wow, well played.
Yeah, and
this
Debs celebrating a bit early, but
appropriately, most likely.
Pretty appropriately. I don't think there's really any ways that he gets rescued here. We see with the Soulfire in hand, that does 5 damage alone to the shield, along with a 4 attack minion and way more power to get through. This one's over. That's going to be a 3-1 victory for Debs. And, Anfal played great. The Rogue let him down, or maybe Mage Puzzle Box, let Anfal's Rogue down. From that moment, it was all Debs. Before that moment, it seemed to be all Anfal, and congratulations to Debs on a thrilling 3-1 win.
Yeah, that is... it's heartbreaking if you're Anfal with the way that Mage game ended, and I can only imagine how hard it is to keep your head in the game after that, knowing that 10% chance, obviously, whatever percent chance it is of the Pyroblast coming up, and then a 10% chance on top of that of it hitting your face is just absolutely brutal. So that's a tough thing to overcome, and Debs, to his credit, the Zoo Warlock was unexpected. So that's a bring that you're not seeing, something that you definitely can't plan for. I suppose when you're prepping, is someone bringing a deck that is enough off meta that
absolutely the
it's tough to
closed
prep.
list format enables different choices like that, And we can see it clearly paid off for Debs here in this match.
And as we mentioned too, Mrgl had already at least secured a tie. Then when Debs won the first game of that series, or the first game that he won of that series, they secured the win. So just bonus points at this point. Mrgl will now be the top dog in the Gold Conference, guaranteed going into the final week of the regular season, with Hot ZILFS being number 2. So this is still a possibility that they could drop next week and Hot ZILFS could pass them, but it is much, much tougher to do with only 1 week left in the season.
Absolutely. So Mrgl punching their ticket to playoffs, most likely with a very big win, claiming the top spot in the Gold Conference with a week to play, and not guaranteed by any means, but I wouldn't say that ZILFS is likely out of things either. We very likely will be seeing these teams play each other again come playoff time.
It is very possible. Right now, that Gold Conference breakdown is Mrgl is up by, they were up by 4 before this, so now they're going to be up by, what we saw, 7. No, they're going to be up by 9 because 1 point was already calculated in.
3.
Yeah, 1 point for the guaranteed tie was already calculated in, and now the win is going to be added on. So they're going to have a 9-point lead, which is very tough to overcome. So you're probably looking at Mrgl being the 1 seed in the gold, ZILFS being the 2. Teenage Mutant Demon Hunters are behind ZILFS right now by a total of 13 points. Am I doing my math correctly? Yeah, 13,
I believe so.
13 plus the 1 Anfal just picked up, so a 14 points to overcome with 11 points still in the week. So it's still early to say, but Debs.
But also, Teenage Mutant Demon Hunters is struggling against Anfal Gaming right now. They're down 12-5, which isn't technically a loss for the week yet, but if Amberflight picks up 1 more point, it's a guaranteed minimum tie, and 2 more points or a win, and it locks in a win for Amberflight for their 2nd win in a row, and definitely makes it tougher on TMDH, and makes it far more likely that ZILFS gets to hang on to that 2 seed at least.
Absolutely, and there's a lot of contention down in that 3-4 range there, with Blood Bloomers and Defias just outside right now. They're a little ways outside of the 4 slot, but they've both got 15 points left to possibly pick up this week. So them and ATL will all need big weeks to finish out here to get into the final discussion here for the 3 or the 4 seed. But essentially that leaves us with about 6 or 7 teams alive in the Gold Conference in the final week in playoff contention.
Yeah, it's exactly what you want to see. Everybody loves when you get those tight playoff races right at the end of a season, and it could go either way. So I'm excited to see how it's gonna pan out at the end of the season. There's a whole lot to play for, even if you're eliminated. Playing for pride is always fun, but for those teams that are still in it, it sets up quite a few thrilling matches. So tune in for the streams next week when we'll have some really significant games to tune in on.
That being said, if you're involved in any of these ongoing playoff matches for Wild, or playoff contending matches for Legacy, Hero, or Pro, please let me know. Reach out, and we will try to get you on stream in a time slot of your choice. Earlier the better. Helps us coordinate things as quickly as possible. But I will say that even though it's Saturday night and we are done this evening, there is still plenty more THL streams to come this weekend, as we have Sunday Schoolstone this week. That did not happen today, because they are set up for Sunday, starting at 3 p.m. We've got Desharmo versus ItsMeMikeV, who we saw tonight. That's a pro match. And then we've got a wild match. It's a playoff match, Mrgl versus Memnarch. So that should be exciting in Sunday afternoon. And then Sunday night, we've got Basting versus Heatshock in pro. That's a match that I think everyone should want to see.
5-2. I'm going to be casting that one with Brushy Tuna, so even more fireworks there. But should be very exciting to tune in on that one.
Definitely a fun slate of matches on Sunday. So definitely tune in 3 p.m. Like I said, 3 p.m. Eastern tomorrow, 8 p.m. for the Sunday night stream. And other than that, we'll be back with our regular slate of shows going into Monday. We've got our Wild Show, Wildin' Out. So Luna's on Tuesday with RonMexico himself. I'm sorry, it's Ron. Please don't call me Ron Sexico, Mexico.
I respond to many names.
You are without a doubt my favorite Falcons fan. I do appreciate you very much for coming out tonight.
Awesome.
It was.
Yeah, I'm very happy to be here. There was a lot of entertaining matches, and thank you to
Definitely.
everyone who tuned in.
Yeah, thanks to everybody who tuned in. Thanks to everybody who offered up their matches to stream, even if you weren't appearing on stream this week. It's always appreciated. So we will sign off tonight and wish everyone the best of luck in the rest of the week. And, of course, we will see you next Saturday right here, same time. Have a great night, everybody.
Good night, everybody.